Hello, this is Jeremiah 2911 Ministries coming back with you a word on a movie called Hot Girl Winter. I just finished watching this movie. I'm not going to go per details. If you feel led to watch this movie, then watch it. It is on Tubi for free. If you don't feel led to watch it, don't watch it because it is definitely for adults. Also, if you feel led to like and subscribe and share this message, please do so. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this message. And so this message is for kingdom spouses that became prodigals, that became separated, that are married and separated or divorced and reuniting their, vows and recommitting. This is also for people who have met their kingdom spouse and they haven't made a commitment. Okay, sorry. I don't know why I always yawn every time I'm about to do a message for some apparent reason. Okay. And so this message is, I'm just going to give a brief detail just because I don't want to go per word, but pretty much it was just about Mr. and Mrs. Claus having trouble in their marriage where the husband's, which is Mr. Claus, always choosing his work over his, wife and not taking the time to celebrate them every year because it's always something that's going on in North Pole, of course. So this is going to be a lot of couples who are financially, I've been talking in most of these videos where the couples are going to be together, finances are going to be going great, and they're going to be super involved in their work and load, and so many times we get so used to how everything's going that we forget to celebrate one another or take the time out and date and get to know each other and do things and vacation stuff. So this is definitely going to be a future word, or maybe this has already happened to some. So on here, she decides that she's not going to pass up on another anniversary trip just because of his job. And so she decides to go ahead and go on a trip without him. As she goes on this trip, she goes with her single friend house and visit, and she ends up turning her into just keeping her options open in case she doesn't want to go back to her husband. And honestly, when I just want to put out there that this is one reason why it's not good to have single friends and married friends hang out, just because of single mind mentality and not always encouraging to stay as a married woman and, still act like a lady and, and just, work it out with your husband, I do have married friends, and I do not the thing is, I've been married before, but I do not condone indulging my married friends into my single lifehood. Like I would never, just because that's just not of God. But a lot of this has been happening a lot where single friends and married friends still hang out, still married friends not always respecting the husband and always choosing, to, act as if sometimes that they're not married. And God's not about all that. But anyways, back to the movie. And so, sorry. Ooh, it's been a long day. So on here, they were deciding to just go out like they did back in the day, go clubbing, drink, all that good stuff. And so just to get her mind off of her husband not choosing her and choosing work. And so they're doing that, and she gets flirted by a younger guy, and the younger guy hits on her, and she's like in shock because he's younger than her. And her friend's like, girl, she's like, go ahead and let that young man, buy you a drink, she's like, you want to keep your options open because you don't know what you and your husband are going to do yet. So she likes let her friend talks her into doing, letting the guy, buy her a drink. They end up dancing. And so, they end up dancing and then they end up, having fun, listening to music. And then she goes home back to her friend's house and her friend gives the guy her number and she didn't. So she's encouraging her to make bad decisions. So meanwhile, she's going through a journey of where she is learning who she is again because so often, if you've never been married before or you don't know much about marriage, what happens is that sometimes you get so caught up in being married and doing the same thing over and over again, you end up losing yourself. You end up getting too, I can't think of the word, but you end up getting so indulged in your marriage that you forget that you were a single person before you got married. You forget who you were. You might have had different dreams and goals. And now that you're married, all your dreams and goals is in your marriage. And so that's what pretty much happened. She's just kind of trying to remember herself before she got married. And so she's just pretty much going through a journey, learning who she is, learning the update stuff on how to dress and all this stuff, just learning all these different things. And so she's just learning the new way of life, And so then she goes to another event and then with her friend and they're going to like a pajama party or something. So she wears something that covers her up like a house coat and wears her PJs, under her house coat. And so her other friend, she ends up, revealing herself in her pajamas. Meanwhile, she meets the guy that she liked a lot, and then they end up, getting together, meanwhile, she ends up talking to this guy that sat by her, which later on finds out he was a wealthy financial man and that she didn't even know anything about. And she ends up having a drink that was too strong and she had to get sent home because she was not feeling like herself. So the night got cut off, kind of short because of that. And then she ends up going on an beach picnic with the younger guy the next day. And she lets the younger guy know that she's married and she's not interested in, getting to know him like that. And he was like, well, you can't blame me for trying. I mean, he set it up really nice, did a really little beautiful picnic, one that people would dream of if they were, dating someone, And then meanwhile, she leaves that guy. And then the guy that she met that was wealthy they end up, reuniting as she leaves the other younger guy. And then he ends up inviting her out on a date. So now she's like, okay, sure. And he was like, I didn't have your number to call you. And I guess this was fate. How that is. Let's just say that everything happens for a reason. And I just want to also put out there that sometimes God will allow you to have a break, but he also wants you to realize who you belong to and always stay focused on, doing what God, created and designed you to do. And meanwhile, she's just like, okay, sure. So she's just going with the flow with all this dating. She ends up just enjoying herself. She ends up learning how to do dancing on the pole. And she's like, this is just like dancing on the candy cane in North Pole, and it was just kind of funny. But anyway, so she's just like learning who she is. She's like finding out all the stuff she likes. She's remembering that she used to dance. And she just remembered that she just loved, bringing cheer everywhere she goes. And so she just like really becomes like she finds the person that she was before she got married. And so meanwhile, she goes on her other date that she didn't realize was the actual date, but that's what it was. But of course, everybody knows when you go somewhere with the opposite sex, someone invite you, pretty much it is a date. And so meanwhile, she goes on there, and then he talks about how he was with someone that he divorced, and she was the only one that he knew that didn't want to be with him because of his money. And then she was like, sounds like you're still in love, with your ex-wife. And he's like, yeah, but, this is not about that, I want to get to know you, blah, blah. And she's just like, cautious. She's just like, like just going with the flow. Meanwhile, it ends up turning into where the guy ends up spending 15 G's to get a dance with her for a charity event. He ends up buying a couple of tables and, anything just to get her attention. She ends up helping her friend out, with her charity event to raise money. And so she ends up just, breaking hearts at the same time. But the funny part is how she ends up using the younger guy, the older guy, to help with the charity event. Meanwhile, she breaks the other guy's heart. He's like, we make a great team, and he wants to be more than just someone he's dating. And she had to let him know, like, I'm married and I still love my husband. And so, she's like, I should have told you from the start, and I tried to tell you, but it just didn't come out the way that I wanted it to come out. And he's like, I feel so used. You probably just found out who I was. Just wanted to use me for this charity event. And she's like, no, that's not what it was at all. Meanwhile, he storms off because he's upset. And she's just like sad because she didn't want to break his heart knowing that she's already happily married. And she's like, what he wants, I already have in the North Pole with Mr. Claus, with St. Nick or whatever. And so, meanwhile, she's just talked to her friend. Her friend ends up getting upset because he hasn't picked up their phone calls for the event and all the money. She's like, he's probably not going to donate, and all my hard work is not going to, it's going to backfire, and it's not going to go the way planned. And, sometimes things have to be extreme to actually happen before good things happen. I don't know if a lot of people can relate out there, but sometimes it gets really, really, really bad before it gets really, really, really good. Let's just say that's what happened in this case. So here it is. Everything's going wrong. Everybody's, in their feelings, she's, just wishing her husband would just come to her and, and just, let her know that she's important enough, more important than his job. On the North Pole, being Santa Claus and, taking care of the elves and doing all the reindeer stuff and all that. She just wants to know that he loves her. So it's like she's waiting for him to come, but, he hasn't showed up and she's been there for so long. So she's like, she doesn't know what's going to happen, but she just knows that being around other men and all these guys wanting to be with her, it just let her know that she just doesn't love them. She loves her husband. She wants to be with him. And so that's what she had, came to realization is that that's what she desires, her husband. And so God's just saying that there are going to be some couples out here going through that crisis in their marriage where they look at each other and see if they really want to be with each other. If this is worth being with each other, they might take a break. Or some couples have already separated or going through a divorce and just lost themselves in the relationship, lost themselves. God has been just giving informational downloads about couples just divorcing because they couldn't make it work between their careers and their family life. And so they chose their career over their family life. But God is saying that He's going to rekindle the fire. He's going to restore those marriages. He's going to restore the what was lost. He's going to restore it at the right time. Going back to the movie, so here it is. They're going to the event and they're like, I guess we'll have to have faith that everything is going to come together. And so it looked kind of sketchy, like nothing was going to come together because he had already paid for, he was supposed to be dancing with Mrs. Claus, of course, and it looked like he wasn't going to show up, the wealthy guy. And so at the last minute, as she was thinking about she was going to have to probably figure out something else, he comes through, and then they end up doing their dance. And meantime, while they're doing their dance, she's got, things up her sleeve that she had, hoped that he would come and all this good stuff. So they do their dance and everybody's happy. Then they're doing the bachelor bidding and the bachelorette bidding. And so while she was trying to let him know what was going on, she ended up calling his wife, and his wife was up there to get bid for a date. And he didn't know that this was the plan. He ends up bidding on his wife, and him and his wife end up restoring their marriage, because he's like, he still loved her and she still loved him. They just lost touch in each other. So God restored them. Meanwhile, as the other people that are coming out that are single, and somehow Mr. Claus, which Saint Nick, got in the mix of the singles group, and they were bidding on him and the younger guy, and that was interested in her. And he came to fight for Mrs. Claus because he's like, I want her back. And so he decides that he also learned how to dance for her, because he told her he didn't do the dancing thing. And he ends up learning how to dance, and he just ends up winning her back. And, and they end up, falling back in love with each other. And he's like, I'm going to do better. I'm not going to get focused on work. We're going to start taking trips. We're going to try new things. And he was like, I'll even let you slide on my candy cane. But it was really good. It was really, really good, because God's just saying he's going to restore the pain he's going to restore the pain that was in those marriages. He's going to restore it. He's going to add some new flavor of love and rekindle that flame. God is about to do something miraculously that, eyes have never seen, ears have never heard. God is about to restore marriages, restore prodigals, and restore separations. So God is about to bring people back together and to fulfill the works of the Lord. And so I just wanted to let y'all know that, expecting to get some confessions from previous, prodigals. Expect some confessions, expect some, your, spouse coming back from the separation, from the divorce. Expect that y'all are about to get back together, whoever this message is for. Always take me back to the Lord, pray, and ask God if this message is for you. But God is pretty much saying he is restoring those marriages back. And God is restoring all his kingdom marriages. And there is going to be some good things coming in this year, 2025. And God is about to show something different. So I thank you so much for listening to this message. Please like and subscribe. And if you feel led to share. If you feel led to give, you can give. The information is in the community post. God bless you. Have a blessed day, and a good night or good morning. Bye.